Hey everyone. So Spirit really brought something through strong today that I want to share with you. And I actually thought I was going to wait till the end to share this aspect of it with you, but I'm going to share it in the beginning now. Spirit's kind of nudging me to begin with this. And there's such a synchronicity tied to it. But I was scrolling through my Facebook and somebody I barely knew through acquaintance posted something. And it was a Bible verse, And I was like, okay, so I quickly read through it and I was like, holy crap. Like, if this isn't a synchronicity, I don't know what it was, because it was a verse in Ephesians that's talking about the full armor of God. And I just mentioned that in my last video because that is such a strong energy right now that we need in terms of what's going on in the world, in terms of our discernment, right? So here it is, Ephesians 6. Chapter 6, verses 11 through 16. And there's some numerology in there Spirit told me to look at after I was done and reading it. And then I was like, okay, I need to share that with everyone. And I wrote it down. When I was writing it down, I was like, holy crap, that's a palindrome. Here, I wrote it. But if you look, chapter 6, you can't see, it's kind of backwards. 6116, that reads the same way, front and back. And the 6-1 combination is really powerful. I'll share that with you at the end, but it was just a lot of synchronicity lately, and it all kind of leans towards the same type of topic. So here goes, okay? Put on the full armor of God so that you can take your stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against the flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes with the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. If you really break that down, it is so synchronistic right now. Like the belt of truth, okay? The belt of truth. With the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. There's such a balance in the scripture. And it's crazy. Like, just like I said last time, I can't even believe I'm on YouTube's quoting scripture. You wouldn't have convinced me that like 10 years ago that I would be doing this. But when you look at the numerology, it's interesting because the 6, it's focused on home, family, stability, balance, selflessness, harmony, service to others, and finding solutions. And then you have the 1 combination, new beginnings, striving forward, success, progress, self-reliance, stamina, create your own reality through positive thought and expectations. But when you combine those together, it's so powerful. Not only that, it's not just like a 6-1 combo. It's like a 6-1 combo on steroids. You have 2 6s and 3 1s. So this together is the symbolism of new beginnings, discovering your true self and desires and goals you have, taking initiative to achieve your goals and to take care of others. You see the balance in that. There's so much balance in that, right? Because it's that equal exchange of energy. You're putting, like you're working towards your goals, but at the same time, you're remembering that this is service to others. This is about how we are all one and connected as one. So anything that you do in order to heal yourself, you're assisting to heal everyone and everything, right? So this leads right into the message that I originally had before I even realized I was going to share this, which was about how Spirit is revealing to a lot of people right now bits and pieces of what their mission is going to be. But there's such a trick with that because for me, it's like I'll get all these ideas, but I'm not sure how they're going to come together in this cohesive way. And whenever I try to piece it together, it's just like my ego trying to predict the future, my ego trying to tell me what's going to happen instead of me coming into this space of co-creation with the universe, this space of surrender and being like, okay, Spirit, I'm gonna write down every single download, every single idea that comes to my mind, and it's gonna be there for when I need it. I'm going to know when I need it. I'm going to understand why you led me to this information that's going to help me start this business, or help me volunteer in some way, or help me create. It's just co-creation with the universe at the end of the day. And so, and what Spirit was telling me was, don't worry what it means or how it comes together. That's Spirit's job. That's not your job to worry about how it's going to get figured out. We have nothing to figure out. The only thing we have to do is lean into self-love, so we're able to connect to source, and so that when we interact with the outside world, we're coming from a space that's connected to our higher self, and not just swimming in this soup of 3D energies and then coming from that space, right? And so the most freeing, this is one of the things I wrote down, the most freeing thing you can do is start over, detach from what used to give you the illusion of safety. And that just kind of like transitions right into like, everybody wants to know what their purpose is. Everybody wants to know what their mission is, but they're still so attached to these things in the 3D world that being able to manifest that vision is impossible, because you're not creating that space with inside of yourself to like let go of things that take over your mind. Instead of thinking about worrying about things that are going to happen in your life, you surrender that to Spirit. And when you surrender that, it creates this space. It creates a space. Okay, so you're not worrying anymore. So what are you going to be doing now? You're able to sink into creative energies. You're able to receive downloads, to know, intuitively know what you're going to do next, to be able to follow your intuition, right? And so if you're feeling cluttered, if you're feeling like, I have all these ideas, but I'm not even sure which one I'm supposed to like start with, or like I'm supposed to go all in with, don't think about going all in. Just think about surrendering to Spirit and allowing it to come to you, because co-creation is funny in that you have to let go of that control. You have to let go of trying to predict the future. You have to let go of trying to cling on to things that don't serve your highest good. Because if you don't let go of them, you will not create that space in order to come into a creative place to manifest and co-create with the universe the things that you actually desire, because you're too busy and distracted by bullshit. I had a few questions from people. I guess I will touch on this a little bit, because majority of the time my questions are about relationships when people have questions for me, and that's fine. I don't mind talking about it. I have talked about a lot of this stuff in prior videos, but I know everybody doesn't always want to go back and search for the things I've said. Plus, if you look at my videos, the reason I decided to, like, aside from the fact that I'm somewhat of a perfectionist with my rising signs in Virgo, but one of the reasons why I decided to number the videos on my YouTube channel is so people can go back, and when they do look at one of my old videos, they can see like, oh shoot, I can see where she was in her growth process there, right? And then as you look at my videos, you can see my ascension, my growth. You can see how I'm seeing things from a different perspective, right? So if I come around and I talk about these things again, it might be a different angle. It might hit someone a different way. It might light a fire under somebody. It might give them that aha moment, you know? So I don't mind going back and readdressing topics that I've already spoke on. Because it could just be a whole different message. Same question, whole different message. Because there is no like right or wrong. There is no black. Everything is gray. There's gray area in everything, right? And so, okay, so let's see here. Here's a couple of the questions. Do twin flame partners make you see a part of you that you still need to work on? The answer to that is yes, and I'll elaborate in a minute. And how do you come into union? Probably the most common question that I've ever got. And you know what? We'll just start with that, because that question will answer the other question. Coming into union has to do with two individuals who are both willing to grow. They're both the most major part to look at initially is this person acknowledging their own shit? If they aren't even there yet, you might as well just you might as well just go, because what's going to happen is you're going to grow, and they're going to stay stagnant, right? And I was just talking to one of my friends about this. And what happens is, like, in order to interact with that person, you have to lower your vibration, because they can only meet you as far as they met themselves. So if you stay with somebody who isn't on the same page as you in terms of, I want to grow, you want to grow, we want to help each other grow, we want to acknowledge when we do something that is lacking integrity, we want to acknowledge and recognize in our own self, both individuals, wow, maybe I reacted in a fucked up way, and then actually go do something about it. Go right the wrong. Go have the conversation. And go sit down and be like, I fucked up, you know? And like, most people aren't able to raise their vibration enough to get to that space. It's always like that runner chaser, that push and pull that everybody talks about. And all that is like two people who haven't come into that masculine and feminine balance within themselves yet. So in order to come into union, you have to be balanced. You have to have a balance of masculine and feminine energy, and so does the other person. It's funny because I just posted some stories on my Instagram that had to do with this. They were great quotes. I should have wrote them down and shared them today, but it's all good. If you want to see them, go check out my Instagram. But yeah, if that balance isn't there, or if that desire for the other person and you to both want to change, to recognize, I have so much farther to go. I'm like, I'm willing and wanting and desiring to go there. Cause like, if you want, the thing of it is, the hardest part is like it's not about getting into union. I mean, I guess that is a hard part, to some extent, but to me, it's harder after you're in the relationship. You're going through real life together. And then you have to like, sit down, humble yourself, recognize, these trauma responses that come up inside of you, you know? And then be willing to make those changes. Be willing to rewire your brain to respond in a different way. And if both people aren't willing to even acknowledge their faults, that is never gonna work. It's only gonna work when two people, it doesn't matter how fucked up your life was and how messed up you are. If you're willing to grow and they're willing to grow, you can do it. You can do it. I know, because I've had serious trauma. I've had to go and work through myself, and I'm still working through it. But when you can recognize that, like, other person's trauma, like Lance recognized my trauma, I recognize his trauma. And the funny thing about twin flames is his trauma is going to trigger you, and your trauma is going to trigger him, right? And fuck the label of twin flames. Conscious relationships, it doesn't matter. The label doesn't matter. Yes, does it mean something? It does. But for growth purposes and just like ascension purposes, obsessing over what a twin flame isn't gonna help. So if you just call it a conscious relationship, it'll assist you from getting attached to this one person and then not being able to this has to do mostly with people who have codependent issues, you know, which I did myself. So there's no judgment. There's never any judgment on my channel. Like, I've done so many fucked up things in my life, so you don't have to be ashamed of yours, because we all have. Nobody is perfect. And so when anyone's out here prancing around trying to be perfect, like, there's probably the last person you want to try to have a relationship with. Honestly, a lot of people are stuck in ego to the point where they just can't even humble themselves to even acknowledge that they have shit they need to work on. And you know, if somebody is on the ascension journey, to some extent, they're open to growth, or they wouldn't even have been open to this kind of information to begin with. So if you're in a situation where the other person isn't willing to acknowledge that they do things with a lack of integrity, or some people are very, very blind. Like, maybe they're telling you don't check all those boxes off for them. You know, maybe you have some baggage and they're judging you on that. Or maybe, like, they're still trying to fit into this matrix box, like still trying to, get degrees and reach externally to feel validated, still trying to like get up on this high horse in some way and reach externally. It doesn't even have to be a fucking high horse to reach externally to feel validated. It could be an addiction, it could be food, it could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be anything. I hate it how it even goes straight to there. It's like all the stereotypical shit. Like, I'm trying to think of something unique. Like, what is it that we could run to? I don't know. Maybe the possibility of being with somebody. Like, that's not avoiding your shadow. Like, to face your shadow is just to sit there alone and be like, I don't need somebody to fulfill me because I am the love I'm looking for. All the answers I need are just in here. All the love I need is just in here. And once you can get to that place where you love yourself so fucking much, you don't give a shit about a relationship. You don't give a shit about any of it because you don't need that thing, that relationship externally to feel validated. Once you don't give a fuck, that's when everything comes to you. Because you're already fulfilled, you're a vibrational match to the shit that you want. And so, yeah, that's about it on that. Like, I don't want to go off for too long, because my daughter's inside, but, I just thought it was like full-blown synchronicity, the full armor of God thing. And that ties right in to what's going on right now. If somebody doesn't align with you and your beliefs in terms of fuck beliefs anyways, those are just like attachments too, but like your what you resonate with in life, they're not resonating with the same things as you. If you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole, it's just not gonna work. Like, you have to sit back and be like, okay, like, what do I want, you know? And have I fulfilled that love within myself to not really even think about it? Like, the thing about it is, like, we shouldn't be out looking for relationships. They'll fall into your lap. The land you want, the house you want, the car you want, it will fall into your lap. But you have to fall into Spirit's lap. You have to surrender in order to allow that to come in, to be in the receiving mode, right? To raise your vibration to a level where you're open to receive. And then once you're open, you have to interact with high vibrational things, right? If you go back, if you open yourself up and then you go into a dense environment like a bar or something, you raise your vibe and then you go into a bar. I don't know why you would do that. It wouldn't be a vibrational match, but it can happen, right? You are so freaking susceptible, especially if you don't protect yourself energetically. Like, those conversations with Spirit, like, Spirit only things of the highest good come into my experience. I do not consent to any low vibrational energies coming into my space. You know how many times a day I say that? If I walk in, before I walk into a store, before I get into my car, before my kids get on the bus, I pray that over them. That is important, especially if you're sensitive, because you're going to go out there in the big fucking soup of energies. And you can just, like, it doesn't matter, like, you can ascend as much as you want. And then if you go out there and decide, like, you're gonna go make old decisions again, you can fall back into the pit. You can push that momentum in the other direction. But even if you're like in a situation maybe where you're trying to make something work with somebody and you keep trying to force it, and they're not open, they're not receptive, they're not seeing their own shit, they're not willing to grow, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. But yeah, let me make sure there wasn't anything else I wanted to mention, guys. I want to make this a quick video because, yeah, I just thought that was dope. That's the freaking palindrome, that Bible verse. Yeah, it's new beginnings right now. If anybody does not feel the new beginnings, it's because you have some stuff to release. Because right now, it's just like resurrection. It's, thank you so much, Daniela, for my birthday card. It was so funny. I got a birthday card. I think I told you guys, Daniela, she watches my videos, but she lives here in Pittsburgh, and we got to hang out once, and it was cool because if anybody who knows me, which isn't a lot of people, is I don't hang out with people. I'm like introvert to the max. Like, I don't want my energy to mix with in a soup at all, because it's just like hypersensitive, right? So it's cool when I can meet somebody and they actually see me and I can interact with them and I don't feel like I'm super depleted, right? But she sent me a birthday card because my birthday's on Sunday, 10/10, right? So I'm so appreciative of that. It was super sweet. And there was a synchronicity I was going to freaking share, and I already forgot it. But oh well, I wanted to shout you out anyways. But yeah, the tribes are coming together. Tribes are coming together. Ideas are coming. There's so much creative energy to the point where I was like, my whole body like buzzes when I'm ungrounded and I need to ground myself. And that's what was happening right before I came on to make this video. I just ate a quick salad so I could like not be shaking the whole fucking time. But if you feel that too, it's the creative energies. And if you can't organize it and you just feel like all this stuff is coming forward, just write that shit down. Just keep writing everything down. Don't worry about thinking about how it's going to happen. Just let it come through, and then just set it down, and then just follow your intuition on whatever you feel like you need to do, wherever you feel like spirit is calling you to, and it'll all work out. Like that idea you got today could manifest 10 years from now in a way you totally wouldn't have seen it. I've had this happen before I even had my awakening. I would get downloads of things, and I was like making websites, trying to start a business from home and all this stuff, and none of it worked. Fail, all of it. And then one day I started awakening, right? And all that all the shit I learned about making websites and creating things and all this stuff that I had, self-education, right? I used to make my channel when I started learning about spirituality, and I started waking up, and now I'm connecting with people, and I'm in this space of service to others. But all that information I had got years and years and years before, and it was preparing me for what I'm gonna do now, right? Or I went to school. I got my degree in history and education. I always knew I was going to be a mother and a teacher, because I knew back then, even though subconsciously I didn't fucking know I was going to work with kids or create this beautiful space and community for children that I'm working on. I didn't know that, but spirit knew that, and spirit was planting those little seeds inside of me. It was preparing me. I volunteered for over a decade with kids who were abused and coming out of tough situations. Why? Because that is the experience we need in order to manifest this mission that we all came here for. And that's all service to others. And what you can do now to serve others is serve you by coming into yourself as fully as you possibly can, by taking care of yourself. And what does that even mean? You already know the self-love. What is it that sets you on fire? Are you taking care of your body? Are you taking care of your thoughts? What are you thinking about? Is that of the highest good? Because if it's not, throw that shit out. It's not serving you. Come into a space where you're connected with spirit, so the thoughts that do come through serve you. So if you're in a shitty place, don't be worried about thinking about nothing, and definitely don't interact with people. Definitely don't. What are you giving them anyways? You're in a shitty space, so you're just giving them shit from you? What are you venting about things that you can't control because you're trying to control your life? This surrender is everything right now. Surrender is everything, and putting on the full armor of God, because there's so much bullshit being thrown at us, and if you don't use your discernment, you'll be making a decision that might be fatal. It might be, and I don't just mean that in a physical way. I mean that it could be, you're staying in a place or at a job or doing something that doesn't serve your highest good, and you keep making these decisions and staying in these cycles. Like, how is that serving you? You're miserable. If you're in a place you don't want to be, but you can't leave yet because you work and you need money, that's fine. How can you love yourself so much that it doesn't matter where the fuck you're at? You could be sitting in a jail cell and you are blissed out. How can you get there? How can you get that detached? How can you surrender to that degree? Be like sitting in your jail cell, like, spirit, I don't know what the fuck's going on now, but I know you got me. Like, it's not a faith, it's a knowingness. That faith evolves into that once you get connected to your higher self. Because it isn't about hoping something happens. It's about knowing that I don't have to think something happens or hope something happens or force something to happen or control my fucking future. All I have to do is say, spirit, you got this. My job is to stay feeling good inside of my body, to keep working on my thoughts, to keep working on my body and my health, not figuring out, because that's forcing, but allowing your intuition to guide you into these decisions that are going to be of your highest good. And once you build that momentum, you're off to the fucking races. I love saying that because that's the truth. It's the truth. Build the momentum. So then that way, when the snowball's all little, but it's growing and growing as it rolls down the hill and collects more snow, that momentum's going to be going and so fast in such a positive direction. Your life is just going to you become a walking miracle. Go watch that video. I'll link it below. I don't know what number it is off the top of my head, but you become a walking miracle. And you start to realize that there's nothing that you can't manifest or nothing that you can't co-create with the universe. But when you try to think about what that thing is, you're trying to control. Allow the universe to bring you shit that you couldn't even fathom. Because what your ego thinks that you desire, that shit doesn't even touch what spirit can bring you if you surrender to co-create with the universe. Everything falls into place. You find the perfect person. You find the land you've been waiting for because you want to go off grid. You find that job or you create that career. It just falls into place. You get a random phone call one day. Or you're walking through the store and you see an ad on a newspaper stand and you're like, oh shit, like what's that about? It was so funny. Like in our neighborhood, there was this cat that was missing and his name was Chewy. And the reason we know is because there's fucking signs everywhere. The family that lost the cat was upset. And I mean, they've been up for like 6 months. And I never read the newspaper, but they shove a local newspaper in my mailbox every week. And me and Lance always laughs about like, I hope they find Chewy. And we would just always laugh while we're driving down the road because the cat's name was Chewy or whatever. And I shit you not, on the front page, I should have brought it here. It was like these 3 kids holding Chewy, like, and it was this headline about them being reunited in the local news or whatever. It was like our little town outside of Pittsburgh, right? But it was so funny because it's like all the little synchronicities. It was like normally I don't even look at it. I just throw it in the burn pile. But right on the front page was this stupid little synchronicity. But they're freaking everywhere. They're everywhere. And when you get excited about stupid little things, about this cat being found and it's on the front page and you just laugh about it, it's like that's those little mundane things that I don't know. That's what being connected to spirit is just like every little fucking thing you appreciate. Like I walked outside to clean up dog shit yesterday. And there was this little, for some reason, butterflies just, they love some dog shit. But anyways, I saw this butterfly and it was just sitting there chilling. It was like the most beautiful color of orange and yellow mixed together. It's like my favorite color. I love fall. This leaves are starting to change. You see all this appreciation just fucking comes out of me. But I just crouched down and I just sat there for like 5 minutes and this butterfly did not move. And I was just sitting there talking to it and just appreciating it and talking to spirit at the same time, because spirit is in that butterfly. Spirit is in like fucking everything. Everything. And if you realize how every little aspect of what you can, anything that you can see in this world is part of spirit, and it all wants to work with you, but we're so busy trying to control it, we're so programmed thinking that this is the way we have to live our life according to the program of how we were born and our parents were raised and how our society operates, that we don't even realize that all we have to do is connect, surrender, allow, receive. Simple. It's the self-love that gets you to union in your relationship. It's the self-love that gets you to all the things that you could ever want, your mission, your property, your whatever it is. It's the love and going within. And then you fucking appreciate everything, even a butterfly next to some dog shit. All right, Spirit, I know that's not cute. That's just the vulgar part of me. I have a really raunchy sense of humor. But anyways, guys, I love you so much, and I'm glad that I got a chance to come on and, you know, deliver this message from Spirit. And I hope you have an amazing weekend.